Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Financial Advisors Workshop. This is the show where we interview some of the top financial advisors in America and learn about different ways to run a practice. So it's for financial advisors by financial advisors. And so today we have a really interesting interview with a former bank broker, Nick Nielsen, who's become a big success in the planning world. So Nick, welcome to the Financial Advisors Workshop.
Hey, Brian, thank you so much for the invitation. I really look forward to our conversation here today.
It'll be a lot of fun. And so, Nick, you got your training in the bank world. Tell us a little bit about that before we talk about today.
Yeah, I was really lucky. Out of college, I was looking for different options. I played baseball in college. I thought I wanted to do sports administration most of my life. And then I made the transition after a conversation with my grandfather, who had a longtime financial advisor, and he had asked me, if I could look at his investment statements because he really didn't understand them. And maybe it was just a setup by him all along, but had the chance to go through his statements, learn a little bit about investments that way. And he said, Nick, if you understand how money works, he's like, you'll probably always have a job, you'll be able to take care of your family, but most importantly, you're going to be able to help other people. And that's really when I decided that I wanted to become a financial advisor, but get into financial planning. And for me, the entry into the financial world was taking a bank teller position at Fifth Third Bank, making $11.54 an hour. I was the drive-through teller, and I loved it. It was great. And I did that for several, about 6 months until I transitioned into their management trainee program. During that time, I got my securities license, and I was a licensed banker for about 6 years or so. And I had the incredible pleasure of working with some of the best financial advisors in the world, and had some management people who really poured into me. And to this day, I think a couple of those gentlemen were the very best financial planners on earth. And they continue to do a great job and serve their clients. And I took lessons from each of them and applied it to my own for when I became a financial planner.
Yeah. So you did financial planning there, but you didn't really own the business, right? The bank owned the business.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. Always then clients.
That's right. They're bank's clients. So then you transition. Tell us about your transition to your new firm, Know My Plan.
Yeah. So in 2017, my business partner, Jeff Walters, and I, we decided to leave the banking world and kind of hang our own shingle per se. And it's just been a wonderful experience. The vast majority of our clients in the bank made that transition with us. So we were very honored that the people that we served at the bank voted with their dollars and came with us. And, one of the things moving forward is we wanted to be able to control how we marketed to people, what that message was. And then we never wanted to be in a situation where we had a client that didn't have enough money to work with us, that we had to hand over to an 800 number or a junior advisor, whatever the case might be. We also didn't want to be in the situation where we had to hand a client off because they had too much money to work with us. Right. And both of those things happen within the bank world. So we wanted to control the outcomes, not only for our clients, but for ourselves and the messages that we put out to the world and how we communicated.
Okay. So how do you do that? How do you arrange that you don't fall into those traps?
Well, we affiliated with LPL, which we felt gave us the most freedom for marketing purposes, and that's been a great arrangement for us. We post on LinkedIn every day, at least once a day, and that has been a huge catalyst for our business. Put out a weekly email newsletter, and that also gets put up on our website, as well as we're putting out several YouTube videos per week. So we're very involved in social. It's a great way to meet new people. It's a great way for people to learn to like, know, and trust you so that when they do reach out, really they're ready to become a client. And for the most part, we're just screening them to see if they're a good fit for us. And if not, we know enough other financial planners that we can make the referral if necessary.
Okay. Very interesting. So earlier we talked a little bit about your views on financial plans, and you made some modifications to the traditional, 70-page financial plan to really help the client. And I thought that was very unique and not heard that before in the way you described it. So Give us a little story about how the evolution of how you came to make those adjustments.
Yeah, so I'm an admitted math nerd, and I like geeking out on all of the financial planning stuff. It's come to my realization over the last 20 years or so that clients generally don't enjoy that as much as I do. And the conversation kind of came to a head years ago in the bank. They had this gentleman, and this is 15 years ago at this time, who paid $50,000 a year as a financial planning retainer, which was a huge deal. And, we're getting ready for the meeting. I was doing all the financial planning stuff because I was the young guy punching the numbers in, reviewing the data. And they said, Joe's never going to implement any of the things that we recommend here. Yeah, but we gotta give it to him. We gotta provide him the documentation. All right, as I continued to punch away. And I said, I've met him a couple of times. Would you mind if I ask Joe why he doesn't implement any of this great information that we're giving him? And they were kind of hesitant at first, and they said, we would prefer that you didn't talk to Joe about that because we really don't want to lose his business. And I think I can do it in a way where we're not going to lose the business, but I was young and curious. So we go through the deal. It's 80 to 120 pages, and we pretty much talk at the guy nonstop for 90 minutes. And at the end of it, I say, Joe, if you don't mind me asking, the guys say that over the years, we've given you all of this great planning advice, but you've never implemented any of the things that we've suggested. And he said, Nick, it all sounds so good when I'm here, but the moment I get home, I really can't remember any of it or what I need to do next. And I said, okay, Joe, would it make sense? Would it help if I just summarized everything that we've talked about just into a one-page document so you can kind of understand what the most important things are and what we think you need to do next right away? He said, Nick, that would be incredible. How much more would that cost? And that was the light bulb moment. That's when I knew that clients didn't care about all of the data that we could throw at them. They just wanted to know, what are the simple and concise next steps that I can take today to get from where I am to where I need to be? And that's completely changed how we deliver financial planning to our clients.
So do you ever show the client that 70-page Money Guide Pro e-money type thing or no?
It has not come up in the past decade.
Okay. So, but you have the background and you have the detail that are all filtered through the one pager.
Everything that they need to do that pertains to their financial situation, we find a way, even if we have to change font size, we change a way to get it on one page. And kind of the saying that goes along with that is, when clients see a lot, they do a little. When clients see a little, they do a lot. And for the most part, we're working with very high achieving executive type individuals and their families. If I give them 2 or 3 things that we think that they need to accomplish between now and the next time that we meet, most of the time, they're going to accomplish those couple of items super quick. Sometimes it might be the same day. Now,
yes.
And before you know it, they're like, all right, Nick, what's next? Then I can give them 2 or 3 additional things. And that process repeats. And before you know it, maybe we've accomplished an entire list of 15 or 18 action items that we had from the very beginning. If I would have just given them that list of 18 action items on day 1, it may have been completely overwhelming. And they said, oh, I don't have time to do this. And we would have got together this time next year and none of those 18 things would have been done. So simple, bite-sized nuggets of financial planning and just keeping the ball moving forward, keeping the momentum, small wins.
Well, and the old adage that, 90% of estate planning clients have never signed their documents as well. It's overwhelming. And it sounds like you found a solution to the overwhelmingness of financial advice.
Yeah, I mean, it can be overwhelming. I think we've all, even as financial advisors, have experienced that with our own financial plan, working, the cobbler's children have no shoes, right? So we've probably experienced that to some degree on our own financial plan, and even working, with my wife and making priorities for our family. I have found that I have probably overwhelmed my wife with things where I've had to take a step back and, all right, well, how would I treat her if she was a client? All right, 2 or 3 things. And boom, we get everything done.
Nice. Well, that's really great. So that's really got to be a key thing for you and a big part of your success, you and your partner. So tell us more about your firm and how you help clients regarding their investments and everything else. How do you then take that activity that they have and bring that into things that they can actually achieve?
Yeah. So we say that, your dreams determine your plan determines your portfolio. So at Know My Plan, we currently serve a couple of hundred households, have about 140 under management as we record this. So it's myself, my business partner, Jeff Walters, along with the new advisor, Will Miller. So it's the three of us. We've kind of divided activities based upon kind of our own zone of geniuses and the things that we enjoy, and maybe more importantly, finding people to partner with on things that we don't enjoy. So we all kind of have our different role within Know My Plan, but we really review someone's entire financial picture outside of property and casualty insurance. And we want to make sure that we're giving, the right guidance on the entire financial plan. And it's, as you know, and some people don't understand that financial planning is much more than just investment management.
Sure. How do you manage their assets once you get down to it? Do you actually run money yourself, or do you place with managers? How does that work?
Yeah, so we have our own investment selection process. We do all of that internally. We have 2 equity models and a fixed income model. We for our fixed income model, it's really simple. We use the Invesco bullet shares and ladder bonds, and thank goodness we did that prior to rising rates. So that has worked out really well for us and helped smooth the ride. And just having a defined maturity gives us peace of mind and not have to worry about what the Fed may or may not do or how interest rates might respond. We just ladder those things and hold them out for better or for worse. And then within the equity world, we have 2 sleeves. One is just a broad-based ETF portfolio, and then the other is going to be individual securities.
Okay, nice. What are you telling clients now? The last 4 years, we've had 2 big market crashes, and now we're having a sloppy year. The Dow's underwater as we take this today, and the NASDAQ, is coming down. S&P's coming down. What kind of advice are you giving to clients? Anything market related, or is it more long term?
Yeah, I think it's more long term in nature. It's just reviewing the plan, and I think the bedrock of any financial plan is to make sure that you've done some disaster preparation ahead of time, right? This is why we have an emergency fund. And for us, the way that our process works, we keep 5 years worth of income that people need in fixed income in those very short-term bonds. So we never want to put our clients in a situation where we would have to sell stocks into weakness. And then I think the second thing that we do in preparation for times like this is prepare people on the front end, what we lovingly refer to as the cost of admission, which is the fact that the stock market, we use the S&P 500, it does have a 15% pullback every single year. That's normal. This is not unnormal. And then, secondly is that, approximately every 5 years or so, there's a 30% or greater correction. We think that is the cost of admission to ultimately get the full return of the market. And sometimes people just don't realize how normal it is for the stock market to go down 10, 15, 20%. Those are not unusual things. So you have to prepare people in advance for those moments, because if nobody's ever told them that, they're going to be shocked when it happens to them. And then, I think financial planning as an industry has set this sort of standard that the stock market is going to return 7 to 10% annually, which that's what clients hear. That's what we tell people. Hey, over the long run, stocks will average 7 to 10. What they don't understand is that you'll probably never earn 7 to 10 in a given year in the S&P 500 as a proxy. I think in the past 96 years, that's only happened 4 times. So you might average 7 to 10, but to get 7 to 10 in any given year, statistically would be a little bit unusual. So it's just educating people on the front end before they become a client, so they're not disappointed, once the market goes down.
It sounds like you have a lot of ideas, Nick, that involve, how to manage people's emotions and client behavior. What kinds of things are clients telling you right now? Like, what are the calls that you're getting like this week about their financial plan? Is it about the market or is it about general stuff?
Yeah, I would say general stuff. We haven't had any calls about the market, and had very few calls about the market last year. And I think part of that, like you thought, it's coaching people on that behavioral investment component. Now, I will say we had a couple of calls yesterday where people added money, which I think is wonderful. Like, hey, I don't know what the market's going to do next, but I feel really good that the market's down 10% from where it was. I want to add X amount of money. Like, right. Those are wonderful behavioral conversations compared to the opposite, which I had earlier in my career because I didn't set expectations correctly, which were oh my gosh, the sky is falling. Do I need to X, sell stocks, buy bonds, sell bonds, buy Bitcoin. Maybe I need to sell my Bitcoin and buy bourbon and bullets, right? It kind of goes through, those different things. We tell people right up front, there are 3 barbarians that are coming to attack your castle at all times. And we lovingly refer to your castle as everything that you own, including your house or business interests. And those 3 barbarians, number 1 is taxes, right? There's things that you can do today to minimize taxes. There's things you can do to minimize taxes throughout the life of your plan. The second would be health, right? By all means, invest in your health today before it becomes an expense tomorrow. But the third and most powerful of all the barbarians is the behavior barbarian. It's the one that's out to get you. And it generally starts with the phrase, I just heard in the news, comma, ... And generally whatever comes after that comma, ... is something that's earmarked to take you away from a well-written financial plan, right? And we're here to keep that barbarian away. Really, we're trying to keep all 3 barbarians away, but the behavior barbarian is the most powerful and the most destructive to a financial plan.
So you can go along for many, many years and make 1 or 2 false moves because you're emotional one day and they'll really kill your portfolio.
Absolutely. And Nick Murray, who's a former financial advisor, who's now an advocate and writer for financial advisors, he talks about as the behavioral investment counselors, we need to be providing our clients with almost that daily dose of vitamin C. Our clients need these reminders of how the markets work and how these cycles happen and the proactive steps that we have done to protect against these types of things and the media barrage that come at us to make us think that this time it's different when the reality is this too shall pass, like it always has of all the crises that have come before.
Yeah. Very fascinating. Nick, you started a program called Visual Finance, and it's about financial planning illustrations. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So we put that book together a little over a year ago now, and this really goes back to my time at the bank. I thought the best bank advisors that I saw were always drawing pictures, and I just found it fascinating. And one gentleman, John Cooper, a big cowboy of a man, boots and hat and the whole deal, he would draw these pictures upside down while he was talking with clients. And I just thought it was fascinating and I loved it. And when I became a financial advisor, I took his pictures and some other of his concepts. And when I would talk with clients, I would draw pictures. And Visual Finance is essentially a book. It's 40 different sketches that I share with clients, and each page has a QR code, and that QR code takes you to a short YouTube video that might be 60 seconds to 2 minutes of just kind of what that picture means to me in real life financial planning. So I jokingly refer to the book. It's the best book you'll never read. It's literally 40 pages with 40 pictures of my sketches and corresponding QR codes.
Very nice. So what kind of reaction do you get from folks?
People have really enjoyed it. Interestingly enough, a lot of the people who've purchased it have been wholesalers within the industry who might purchase X amount of books, and they give it to the advisors that they serve because they think it's kind of interesting. We've given it out to prospects as kind of an introduction to who we are and what we do, because it is different, right? It's a completely different type of thing than the financial advisor who writes their own book, which nothing wrong with that. That's a wonderful thing. And if I was a better writer to that extent, maybe I might write my own book. But this was just easier for me to put together 40 sketches to turn the camera on and talk and give my insight on these pictures.
Well, you have a lot of opinions, and you played those out, and you created a whole new behavioral finance kind of methodology, if you will, including pictures. People like pictures. So we're talking to a few hundred financial advisors over the next couple of weeks, and then probably 1,000 within the next year. So imagine yourself, Nick, that you're in like an auditorium, and they're all there, and you're talking to all of them right now. What kind of advice would you give to the brethren and ladies in our industry about how to run a practice, and what things work for you?
Yeah, I would say be wildly authentic. Give people a chance to fall in love with you, because people do business with those they like, know, and trust. Forget about who you think you need to be. And don't worry about sending out market commentary. Clients don't want to read it. But, follow some of the people like Nick Murray, who I think is an incredible, gifted writer and storyteller. And, for me personally, I spend $99 a month to receive his monthly newsletter. And the other newsletter I subscribe to is James Pollard. And I think those two newsletters have been the best financial education of anything that I could have got, better than the CFP, better than probably my first 10 years inside of a bank. Like, there's so much knowledge, that's there. So invest in your own education, invest in knowledge, but be wildly authentic. Forget about who you're supposed to be or what you think clients want to receive. You just need about 100 people to fall in love with the way that you do financial planning and trust you as their guide to help steward you, throughout their lives. There are so many people, and there's no one person who can help them all. There's enough people out there that need advice and guidance for everybody.
Well, we're all falling in love with Nick Nielsen today. It sounds like you have a great program, and you got a great vibe in how you run your practice. So I think, Nick, that's where we are for today. We'll leave it there today, and we really appreciate your being with us today on the Financial Advisor Workshop.
Brian, I thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and wish you continued success.
Thank you. And thanks everybody for being with us. We'll be back again with another episode with another really interesting financial advisor. And maybe we can fall in love with the next guy, but we did fall in love with Nick Nielsen today. So that's great. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks everybody.